With one of the world's most powerful passports, US citizens can travel to over 180 countries visa-free or with minimal restrictions, but not everywhere is welcoming. In fact, there are still a handful of countries where Americans are outright banned, either by the host country, the US government, or both. So today we're going to count down the 10 countries Americans are banned from, and more importantly, why. First up, and perhaps the most obvious, North Korea. The US government has banned travel to North Korea since 2017 after the death of Otto Warmbier, an American student detained and imprisoned there. Today, American passports are not valid for travel to North Korea without special exemption from the State Department, and those are almost never granted. It's banned because of hostile relations, lack of diplomatic presence, and the danger of arbitrary detention. Number 9 is Iran. Technically, Iran does allow Americans to visit, but only through government-approved tours. The process is lengthy, expensive, and often ends in rejection. There is also no US embassy in Iran, so travelers are on their own if something goes wrong. Americans are banned from Iran because of decades of sanctions, broken diplomatic ties, and ongoing nuclear tensions. Visiting Iran as an American is nearly impossible in practice. At number 8, Syria. The US government advises against all travel to Syria, and in 2011 closed its embassy in Damascus. Not only is Syria in the midst of a long-running civil war, but Americans risk detention, kidnapping, or worse if they enter. Syria is effectively off limits due to active conflict, terror threats, and hostile government policy toward the West. At number 7, Libya. Since the fall of Gaddafi in 2011, Libya has been in a state of constant chaotic civil strife, with rival governments and armed militias competing for control. There is no functioning US embassy, no consular support, and no visa assurance for tourists. Libya is effectively banned to Americans due to instability, militia violence, and the absence of any centralized authority. If you're enjoying the video so far, please subscribe, it helps a lot. Next is Yemen. Yemen is facing one of the worst humanitarian crises on the planet. The US Embassy suspended operations in 2015, and commercial travel is virtually non-existent. Tourism, disease outbreaks, and conflict make Yemen extremely high risk for any foreign national, especially Americans. Due to civil war, terror threats, and complete breakdown of infrastructure, Yemen is considered too dangerous to enter. At number 5, Somalia. Somalia has lacked a stable government for decades. Piracy, kidnappings, and insurgent attacks are common, particularly in the south. There's no US embassy, and the State Department urges Americans to leave immediately if they're already in the country. Somalia is off limits because of lawlessness, terror groups, and zero consular protection. Number 4, Belarus. Unlike other countries on this list, Belarus is not in active war, but it's become politically isolated. In 2022, the US closed its embassy and evacuated its diplomats, citing increasing authoritarian repression and growing ties with Russia. Reports of Americans being detained or fined for minor infractions, like posting online, have increased. While it's technically open to US citizens, risk of arrest, government surveillance, and a lack of diplomatic resource make Belarus a no-go zone. At number 3, Afghanistan. Following the US withdrawal in 2021, Afghanistan is now under Taliban control. The US embassy in Kabul is closed, and the government has no formal diplomatic ties with the current regime. US citizens risk kidnapping, imprisonment, or worse, even if they've done nothing wrong. Afghanistan is banned due to Taliban governance, severe security threats, and no consular safety net. At number 2, Venezuela. While Americans technically can enter Venezuela, doing so is incredibly risky. In 2019, the US withdrew all embassy personnel. Since then, multiple Americans have been arrested, including executives and tourists. The US doesn't recognize the Maduro regime as legitimate, creating a diplomatic void and legal uncertainty for visitors. Due to political instability, lack of consular access, and the threat of arbitrary arrest, Venezuela is not safe for Americans. Before number 1, here are a few honorary mentions. For Cuba, travel is heavily restricted but not impossible, requiring specific licenses. For China, tensions are high and some Americans have been barred or questioned, but no outright ban exists. For Eritrea, entry is possible, but strict surveillance and arbitrary rules make it risky. And at number 1, Russia. As of 2024, US-Russian relations are at post-Cold War lows. The US State Department strongly advises against travel to Russia due to the risk of espionage charges, detention, and anti-American sentiment. Multiple US citizens, some journalists, others tourists, have been detained as part of political standoffs. While not legally banned, Russia is de facto off limits due to diplomatic hostilities, lack of legal protection, and a rising risk of political retaliation. It's easy to assume that the American passport opens every door, but geopolitics, war, and ideology still shape who can go where. Most countries on this list ban Americans due to conflict, diplomatic breakdowns, or anti-Western sentiment. But in several cases, it's actually the US banning its own citizens from going, often for their own protection. In the end, a passport is only as powerful as the world lets it be. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, it helps a lot. And comment which of these countries would you want to visit, if you were able to.